Okay, so today's panel on the pull factor of the EU has been very important for us. We have been discussing the issue of whether the EU is still important for the Balkans, and I think we agree that the EU still retains the best framework for the Western Balkan countries to pursue their integration, stabilization, and also the road to prosperity. I would say that without the EU, the Balkans would have been totally different today, and for us, thus, this is the key issue, to follow the road towards the membership and thus to perform the reform and to achieve what our citizens expect from us, and that is better prosperity, more stability, peace, and integration within the wider European family.
Of course it is. I mean, we have to ask ourselves what's the alternative to EU. I think that people are waiting anxiously for some changes, some real changes in the region. Nevertheless, the longer we wait, the less excited they will be about it. So I think that the delay in the EU expansion and integration can only cause damage. So I think we should move bravely, courageously, and quickly.
So I believe that the EU's power of attraction remains immense. However, the method has to change. That is, not all experiences gained during the Eastern enlargement are necessarily applicable to the case of Western Balkans.
Okay. Yes, I think the European Union still has a pull factor on the Western Balkan countries because with all the troubles we do have internally, it is still a safe haven for economic affairs, for investment, for rule of law, and at the end of the day, it's based on solidarity. And therefore, I think that's good reason for all of us to have it as a common endeavor.
Is the EU still a pull factor? It's an important question right now, simply because, as we all know, EU is facing difficult times. It will have to make difficult choices. What I'm thinking is that basically, although Slovenia is, not Slovenia, but the European Union is dealing with its internal problems, it shouldn't forget that enlargement policy, that basically enlargement as a policy was the most successful policy of European Union in external relations. So in this sense, we advocate, and me personally, that although we are dealing with internal problems, although EU has to make hard choices, we shouldn't forget about the enlargement, we shouldn't forget about the Western Balkans, because, you know, the things in this globalized world are moving so fast, and we have to adapt to the new realities. And new realities are that basically as soon as possible these countries have to become part of the enlarged European Union.
Yes. It is, without any doubt. Let's not confuse the panic we might sense, which is in Brussels, by seeing the enlargement becoming a hostage of it. But one thing is clear, the enlargement is not on autopilot anymore, and it needs more political steering from all of us, not only from the institutions, not only from the EU member states, but also from the aspirant and candidate countries. And actually everyone who could help, every civil society organizations, including, for example, CEP. By the way, happy birthday. The 10 years is excellent time of helping the countries of the Western Balkans. You were there when I was joining the Commission. You have become active after I left the Commission. It's very good to hear about you. It's very good to be a part of celebrating the 10 years of the productive work.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
I believe that after Croatia joining European Union, although nothing formally has changed in the EU, we are still saying that there are Copenhagen criteria and that the countries which are in the process should fulfill the criteria. That actually it is completely different process and a different name of the game. For two groups of reasons. One, it is the EU who is very much different. With everything happening within the EU, which we cannot still fully understand. Brexit came actually as a surprise for many. In Britain, not to mention in the EU, not to mention us who are still dreaming about joining the EU. And I believe that this new situation will have its impact on the accession countries. So there are so many issues. I can mention migration, change of the attitude of the citizens of the EU, etc. But that's one group. Another group of reasons why I'm mentioning a completely new name of the game and a completely different process is related to the countries, to the very countries who are in the accession process. They do have a very specific problems, different from the ones Slovenia was having or Croatia was having or some other countries which are today EU members. There, having in mind the name issue unresolved, functionality of Bosnia, relation between Serbia and Kosovo, etc. So there are very specific issues which do have an impact on the very countries who are in the accession process, and these issues are making the process more complicated. In this context, I think that it will be very important to continue cooperating fully with the Center for European Perspective, as we may gather there and discuss all the issues that I have mentioned in order to keep the countries on track when it comes to the accession. As to come back to your question, yeah, I do believe that the magnet of the accession is still very relevant for all of these countries, and it is, accession as it is an incentive to deal with difficult domestic problems, but this magnet is not as strong as it was years back. And finally, and I think we should not forget, there is no such thing like a vacuum in geopolitics. As soon as somebody is not there, somebody else is there. No vacuum. Therefore, my message for European Commission and for the capitals of the EU would again be that they need not to lose focus on the immediate vicinity of European Union. They need to understand it is a future EU and that they should be very much present.
Is the EU still a pull factor in the Western Balkans? You know, there's a famous quote from Faust by Goethe. It's like half I sank and half I was pulled. So a bit like the Western Balkan states now, they don't really know what they should be doing. Should they be pulled into the European Union and actually do some, reforms and adapt to what is going on in the European Union? Or should they let loose and actually see where things are going? As you know, we're in a very critical moment. We're in a critical moment in the European Union because one of the big member states, the UK, has just decided to leave. Also, many member states are very critical with regard to enlargement. For instance, France will have a referendum on the next EU member. But also, we have new actors emerging. I mean, Russia is not playing a very positive role in the Western Balkans. We just see it now, that, for instance, Russia is playing a role in intra-Serbian affairs with regard to Republic of Srpska, but also to test the Serbian government in its resolve. And we today heard the foreign minister of Turkey. And Turkey seems to be a very assertive player now in the European sphere, but he's not, or they are not necessarily converging with all what the European Union wants to achieve in the Western Balkans. So yes, it is probably a pull factor because there are not many other pull factors currently which would guarantee the Western Balkan countries some cooperation on an equal level with the EU member states, but also the push factors of trying to get into the European Union are not so convincing. The economy is too slow. The perspectives of the people have not realized, if you look at countries like Slovenia, but also most importantly Croatia, the latest member that joined, has not developed so well as many hoped for. And also the reforms in the Western Balkan countries are very, very difficult. We have high unemployment, we have very little inward investment, and we have very little willingness to change things, because it seems that, let's wait and see.
Europska unija prolazi kroz mnogobrojne krize i u svakom slučaju nije toliko zanimljiva i interesantna mnogima kao ranijih godina, ali nama u području Zapadnog Balkana i pored kriza i pored vrlo teške situacije u kojoj se nalazi Europska unija je još uvijek jedini naš put i mi ne vidimo neku drugu alternativu za sve naše zemlje regiona osim članstva u Europskoj uniji. Ja sam siguran i nadam se da će Europska unija kao i uvijek do sada sve svoje krize prebroditi sa uspjehom, da će izaći jača i kompaktnija i osnovna vrlina Europe, Europske unije je da iznalazi kompromise u posebno teškim situacijama. Mi u Bosni i Hercegovini kao nevladna organizacija, liderska nevladna organizacija koja se bavi procesom europskih integracija, imamo veliku čast i zadovoljstvo da surađujemo sa CEP i mogu da kažem da je nama velika stvar da postoje ovakve organizacije iz čijeg iskustva možemo da učimo i nadam se nastavku dalje saradnje, ne samo putem Bledskog foruma nego i drugim projektima.
What is an alternative for the Western Balkan? Western Balkan has always been part of Europe and it will always be part of Europe. So I think we need this close cooperation. All the necessary reforms are practically reforms for the progress, for sustainability, for jobs, for safety of citizens in the Western Balkans. So I see here we have both benefits on both sides and we need each other maybe even more than ever in the times of common challenges such as terrorism, organized crime, tax oasis, etc. So I hope Western Balkans will as soon as possible join our European family.
The EU still certainly is a pull factor, and not just because there is no geostrategic alternative, but simply because of the pull factor of its socio-economic model. It's true that the recent crisis, economic and financial crisis, have hit the Western Balkan region even more than they hit the EU. However, they were not equipped with the same solution and mechanisms that the EU did for itself, which opened up the space for the politicians in the Western Balkan to toy with the idea of extracting concessions from the EU and hence put the region, let's say, or population in the region somehow to believe that there may be alternatives shall the EU not speed up on its promise.
Europe needs Western Balkans and Western Balkans need Europe. But the real question is whether do we know what is happening around us? Whether we within the European Union whether we still believe that European Union is the right choice. And of course I always say I don't see any better alternative. When I speak to the people from Western Balkans, I'm telling them the same. What is the alternative? Knowing the history, the violence, wars, everything what we experienced in the past, and we don't want to repeat that. Therefore, I'm very happy that CEP, that Slovenia and Europe is part of stabilizing Western Balkans. It's part of bringing Western Balkans countries closer to the European Union, and I'm convinced deeply that only the positive joint effort on side of European Union and Western Balkans is the right way forward.